After my mom died, I took time off work to plan the funeral, handle her debts, and pack up her things. My brother showed up the night before the service in a designer suit and said, "So where's the life insurance?" I told him there wasn't any left. She used it for her medical bills. He stormed out. During her eulogy, he took the mic, looked straight at me and said, "Some people only show up when there's nothing left to take." My mom passed away last fall, and it was the worst thing I've ever gone through. She raised me and my younger brother on her own after our dad left when we were little. She worked as a school secretary in Scranton, Pennsylvania, for decades. We didn't have much growing up, but she made it feel like we did. She used to save her extra change in a jar so we could get ice cream on Sundays. That kind of mom. My brother, Dylan, always wanted more. More money, more attention, more everything. He was 2 years younger than me, and growing up, he always found a way to skip out on chores, get out of trouble, or lie his way through things. My mom made excuses for him a lot. "He's just trying to find his way," she used to say. When we got older, I stayed nearby. I got a job doing HR for a parts manufacturer just outside Clarks Summit. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills. Dylan moved to Miami and started doing real estate, at least that's what he said. Every time I saw him, he had some new designer brand I didn't recognize. Rolex, Gucci, Balenciaga. I once picked him up from the airport and he laughed at the way I was dressed. I had on jeans and a hoodie. He told me I looked like a gas station clerk. We hadn't been close in years, but when Mom got diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer, I reached out anyway. She didn't want to bother him, said he was busy with his life. I didn't care. I called. I texted. I even sent him screenshots of her test results. He called her once. A 10-minute phone call. He never came to visit. He didn't offer to help. He sent a fruit basket that looked like it was ordered last minute. Meanwhile, I put my life on hold. I took a leave of absence from work. I moved in with her so she wouldn't have to die alone. I took her to chemo. I cleaned her when she had accidents. I slept on the floor next to her hospital bed when she couldn't sleep through the night. She cried in front of me once, said she didn't want to leave me behind. I told her I'd be okay. I lied. We didn't have a lot of money. The medical bills started piling up fast. She had a small life insurance policy, barely enough to keep the house running while she was sick. Most of it was gone by the time she passed. I even sold the engagement ring my ex gave me. I hadn't worn it in years, but it covered some of the hospice care. She died early one Tuesday morning in November. She was holding my hand. Her last words were, "Thank you, baby." The week after she died, I was drowning, planning the funeral, calling family, canceling her accounts, digging through boxes of paperwork. She didn't even leave a will. I found out she had thousands in medical debt that I had to settle through her estate. I did everything, alone. Then, the night before the funeral, Dylan showed up. I hadn't heard from him once since she died. No text, no call, nothing. He knocked on the door like he owned the place. I opened it and almost didn't recognize him. He had on a deep blue designer suit and shiny shoes that looked straight out of a fashion show. He walked in, didn't even say hi, didn't ask how I was doing. Just looked around like he was inspecting something. Then he said it, "So where's the life insurance?" No emotion. No grief. Just those words. I stared at him for a second. "There's nothing left," I said. "It went to her medical bills." He frowned like I just told him someone scratched his car. "Are you serious?" I nodded. "She used it all for her treatments. There's nothing to take." He rolled his eyes. "Of course there isn't." Then he turned around and walked out. No hug. No goodbye. No, "I'm sorry." I thought that was it. I figured he'd show up at the funeral, say a few fake words, and leave. But he had one more stunt planned. The next day, the church was filled with people who loved my mom. Neighbors, co-workers, a couple cousins from out of town. I stood up to give the eulogy. My hands were shaking, but I made it through. I talked about how she used to sing to us when we were sick. How she'd make us grilled cheese sandwiches on snow days. How she gave everything to us even when she had nothing left for herself. People cried. I cried. It felt like the closure I needed. Then Dylan stood up. He walked to the front, fixed his tie, adjusted the microphone, and looked directly at me. He said, loud and clear, "Some people only show up when there's nothing left to take." The room went dead silent. I froze. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Everyone turned to look at me. He walked out without saying another word. That's the moment I decided I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Not the money. Not the insult. Not the years of letting Mom carry the weight while he played dress-up in Miami. He thought he could humiliate me and walk away. He had no idea who he was dealing with. I didn't cry after the funeral. Not because I wasn't broken. I was. But something colder took over. I couldn't stop thinking about the way Dylan looked at me like I was nothing. Like he showed up just to hurt me. He didn't care about Mom. He cared about what she left behind. And when he realized there was nothing left to take, he turned his anger on me. That's when I decided I wasn't just going to move on. I was going to get even. I started small. I dug. I knew Dylan made money, but I never believed he was as rich as he claimed. He flaunted a lifestyle that didn't add up. A few months back, he posted a picture on Instagram. Him posing next to a Ferrari with the caption, "Hustle, don't sleep." But I knew the car wasn't his. I could tell by the dealership tag still on the windshield. So I got curious. I used everything I could: old emails, family addresses, online public records. I even messaged one of his old girlfriends from back when he still lived in Pennsylvania. She told me he used to brag about cutting corners and beating the system. She also said he owed her $5,000 and vanished one day without a word. That confirmed it. Dylan was playing rich, but he was deep in something shady. I filed a Freedom of Information request to look into a real estate company he claimed to own in Florida. What I found was a mess. The company was registered under a different name, and that name had been sued 3 times in the last year for fraud. One case involved an elderly couple who claimed Dylan's company took their deposit and never returned their calls. That pissed me off. Old people, just like Mom. I wasn't done. Next, I went to Mom's bank. While closing out her account, I asked if any large transfers had been made in the months before she died. At first, the clerk hesitated, but then she looked up the records. There it was. 3 months before she passed, there was a wire transfer for $8,000 to a business account under Dylan's name. My stomach dropped. I asked the clerk to print the transaction history. I stared at the paper for 10 minutes. He had borrowed money from her. Money she could have used for treatment. She was barely able to walk, and he took her money. Lied to her. Abandoned her. I went home shaking. I didn't sleep that night. I went through every folder, every envelope in her house. I found a handwritten note she kept in her desk drawer. It said, "Loan to Dylan $8,000. Says he'll pay it back in a month." That month came and went. He never paid her back. And she never said a word. She protected him even when he didn't deserve it. I called a lawyer the next morning. I told her everything. Showed her the note. Showed her the bank printouts. She told me I could file a civil claim through Mom's estate even though there was barely anything left. If I won, he'd have to pay back the loan and then some. He'd also have to show up in court. But that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to rip the mask off the life he built. The lies. The fake empire. The Instagram posts. The designer suits. So I created a fake profile. A woman named Rachel Hayes. Mid-30s. Businesswoman. Interested in investing in Florida real estate. I gave her a LinkedIn, a backstory, a fake website, everything. I knew Dylan wouldn't resist the chance to impress a rich woman, especially one who said she had $100,000 to invest and didn't know where to start. He messaged her the same night she followed him. He flirted, bragged, said he could double her investment in 6 months. I played dumb, asked a lot of questions. He sent her documents, phony-looking ones, with logos I later found were stolen from real firms. He told her to wire the money to a shell company account. Same kind of move he pulled on that old couple. I collected every email, every message, every screenshot. Then I forwarded everything to the Florida Attorney General's office and copied in the couple who had already filed the lawsuit. Took a few weeks, but then it started. Dylan posted on Instagram that he was taking a break from social media. His company's page vanished. I got a letter saying he'd been subpoenaed. And I got a call from the lawyer handling Mom's estate. Dylan was contesting my claim. He was actually going to try to say the loan never happened. That Mom just gave him a gift. So I let him try. He didn't know I had her note. He didn't know I'd found the wire records. He didn't know I had everything. And I wasn't finished yet. A week before the court date, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was short. "We need to talk. You're making a mistake." It was Dylan. I didn't answer. He called next. I let it ring. Then another message. Don't do this. Let's talk first. I'll fly up. That part made me laugh. Fly up? Like this was some family misunderstanding, like this wasn't exactly who he was. He'd stolen from Mom when she was dying. He humiliated me in front of her casket. He was a liar who only showed up when he wanted something. I didn't respond. 2 days later, he showed up on my porch. I saw him through the window pacing. He looked nothing like he did at the funeral. No suit. No watch. No sunglasses. He looked like a guy who hadn't slept in days. I stepped outside. Closed the door behind me. You have 5 minutes, I said. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out at first. Then he started in with the act. Said he was grieving. Said we both made mistakes. That Mom wouldn't want us to fight. I didn't say a word. Then he dropped it. Said he was in trouble. Real trouble. He told me that a few of his investors pulled out. One of them, a lawyer, filed fraud charges. He said the state was coming for him. And it all started because someone sent them edited screenshots. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "If I go down, I'm taking people with me." That's when I smiled. "I hope you do," I said, "because then they'll know what kind of person you really are." He glared at me, and for a second, the mask dropped. His voice got quiet. "You think you're better than me, but you're not. You think Mom loved you more. She didn't. You were her pity project." Then he stormed off the porch. I didn't flinch. The court date came. He showed up in another suit, but this one didn't fit quite right. He looked pale, sweaty. My lawyer laid it all out: Mom's note, the wire transfer, the missing repayment, the fraud complaints from other victims. His defense was weak. He claimed the note was inaccurate. Said Mom sometimes wrote things down she didn't mean. Said she told him it was a gift. But he didn't count on something else I'd found. A voicemail. About 6 months before she died, Mom left me a message. I never deleted it. In it, she talked about Dylan calling her for money. She said, "I hope he pays me back. That was my chemo money. When we played it in court, I watched his face crumble. I won the civil case. He was ordered to repay the full $8,000, plus interest, plus attorney fees. But the bigger blow came 2 weeks later. Florida officially opened a criminal investigation. Wire fraud. Mail fraud. A class action suit from 3 different victims. His accounts were frozen. His business partner dropped him. His car was repossessed. But even that wasn't enough for me, because I still hadn't told the real truth. There was one more thing I hadn't said to anyone, not even my lawyer. 1 week before Mom died, she told me something. Something I never planned to say out loud. Until now. It was late. Mom was in and out of sleep, her voice weak, her skin pale. I was sitting beside her bed, reading aloud from an old magazine she liked. At one point, she reached out and grabbed my hand. She said, "If something happens to me, don't tell Dylan what I did." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" She took a long, shaky breath. "I didn't just give him money. I took out a second mortgage. For him." I froze. He said he needed it for a business deal. He promised it was just a short loan. Said he'd make it all back in a month. I didn't want to tell you. You were already doing so much. I didn't want you to worry. I sat there stunned. She mortgaged her house, our childhood home, for a son who hadn't visited her once during her chemo. "How much?" I asked. She looked away. $35,000. My heart dropped. That's why she couldn't afford the last round of treatments. That's why the hospice bills had eaten up her bank account. He didn't just steal from her. He rushed her death. I wanted to scream, but I just sat there, shaking. I told myself I wouldn't use it, that she didn't want revenge, that she didn't want this story to end in more pain. But after the funeral, after what he said, that moment at the mic, I changed my mind. I went back to the bank. I pulled every document tied to her mortgage. She'd paid the house off 15 years ago. Then suddenly, one new loan, $35,000. Signed, dated. She even put him as a business partner on the paperwork. I handed it to the prosecutor. It was the last piece they needed. Dylan was charged with fraud, elder financial abuse, and wire fraud across state lines. When the second mortgage came into the picture, it changed everything. Proved a pattern. He wasn't just scamming strangers. He used his dying mother to fund a fake business. He tried to get a deal, Tried to pin it on someone else. Didn't work. He was sentenced to 7 years. He cried in court. Not out of guilt, but because the judge denied him bail while he appealed. I was there every day of the trial. I wore the same dress Mom bought me back in high school. The one she said made me look like a lawyer. I wore it on purpose. But here's the part that still stings. I waited too long. If I had dug sooner, if I had said something the day she told me, maybe she would have lived longer. Maybe she wouldn't have died with that kind of secret sitting on her chest. I let her protect him. I let her go to the grave trying to keep her family from falling apart. She didn't deserve that. I live in her house now. It's quiet. Her things are still here. I can't bring myself to change anything. Some days I miss her so much it feels like I can't breathe. But I also know she wouldn't want me to carry guilt forever. Dylan thought he could take what he wanted, lie his way through life, and bury the mess behind him. Instead, he buried himself. And me? I didn't get justice the way she would have wanted. But I got it the only way he would understand. By taking back everything he tried to steal, and making sure there was nothing left for him to ruin again.